Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you for taking your time off for this wonderful session we are about to host. And I hope that we are able to draw some tangible worth for your time. So today we have Miss Chavi Agarwal with us. She'll be the mentor for today's session. She's the founder and CEO of CView, a startup which aims at bridging the gap between the recruiters and the deserving applicants. I welcome Chavi and the team CView. Handing over to you, Chavi.
Hello, everyone. So before I kind of take on with the session, get the presentation in and start it, I'll give you 2-3 things that you need to take care of in the coming 1 hour. One is that it's going to be an extremely interactive session. I'm going to ask a lot of questions. We're going to do a lot of chats, a lot of question and answers. It's a very, very open session, and I'm here to answer all your questions. The second thing is that, when I'm talking about the hacks, etc., maybe you can make a note of them. It will kind of help you in building your profiles and making your CV ATS compliant. And the third thing is that make sure that you are on mute, and so there's no discrepancy, and audios are clear. And whenever, if you cannot hear me or if I'm not clear or anything of those sorts, always drop a chat, and so we're on the same page and you can hear me very, very clearly. And if you want me to repeat anything, then at the Q&A in the end, just shoot in a message and saying that, maybe I couldn't understand this bit. So let's touch upon it again, and let's, discuss it maybe personally after the session, so that we don't waste anybody else's time. Okay, with that, I'm going to start with the presentation and share my screen. Also, be very free to use the chat box. I am going to be on it and going to read it very avidly, so do not worry about it. Okay, guys. So today we're talking about something which is new. It's not necessarily that much spoken about. I'm quite interested to understand, what my audience today knows about this. And, a lot of times people confuse CV building as, collecting certificates and putting it all down, making your, profile more comprehensive and trying to fit every arena into it. But is that the right way to do it? And is the company looking for it? I think those are the discrepancies that all the students and recruits currently have. And not only, in India, all across the world. So we'll address those issues. And before that, let's just begin and understand who actually I am, and, why am I here to sort of blabber about this, if for a lack of a better word. So, let's see. Scattering of images. I went to Warwick to do my bachelor's in finance in the UK. Then I went to Imperial to do fintech. I got into Deloitte. I did multiple things in the middle, which of course nobody can see, and nobody knows what led me to do all of this. And then I joined my family business and I started CView. What we essentially do is that we have got an artificial intelligence system in place, a machine learning system, which helps you understand what you need in your CV. Now, why is this important and why have I created this is something that you'll understand in the ATS compliance bit. Before I start anything, I want you to understand that, nobody knows that how I jumped from one place to another. How did I go from my graduation to my master? What were my challenges there? Or how did I, get Deloitte or crack Deloitte London? Or how possibly I went on to do the other things. It's such a mystery to anybody, and only the good parts are seen by people. Only that profile is seen by people. Nobody really knows what took me to get there. And that is why I put so much emphasis on understanding that all of this, the journey, these are profile building steps, and these are the only things you can people see are the results of those. Nobody can really see what led you there. And this is what we are going to work on today with you. Okay. Now, talking more about the software, and I even from the eCELL, I've heard that, there's a lot of apprehension regarding the ATS system. Nobody really knows how it works, what are the tips and tricks for it, and that is why I'm here to help you with that. Let's go on understanding the applicant tracker system. Okay. I don't know how many of you have heard this before and you know what this actually entails, but now your CV does not go to a human. Okay. In 85% of the countries, and in the cities, and even in MSMEs or MNCs, even small startups and corporations are taking up the ATS system to sort off their applications. So much so more in India, because the population ratio as such that the demand is higher, okay, of people wanting jobs. So, and the supply of jobs is invariably lesser. So they get a lot of applications for one single role. Even like a startup like me, if I put out a job application, I do get 100 to 200, CVs for job roles. And even for me, it's a bit difficult to go through them, right? So how do I sort them out? I'm a recruiter in place. Can I go through all of them one by one? Is that the best or the most efficient way to go through it? I don't think so. And that is why there's a system called the ATS system. It helps you track a particular amount of people who can suit your job profile and your company. If there are 100 CVs which come, only 2 are chosen or 5 are chosen. There are 2 ATS settings, 20%, 2% and 5%. And those are the kind of things that we have to learn today. How to get to that 2%. It is 2% in the MNCs and 5% in the MSMEs and startups currently in India. Maybe in the UK and US, it's only 1% or zero. Sometimes it is 2% in some areas or less populous areas. So our point of understanding then becomes how to surpass this ATS level, how to get your CV into that threshold. And maybe today our country may not be using this very prevalently, but as an insider of this industry, I can speak for it and say that the change is very rapid. If yesterday, okay, so last month Oyo got an ATS system for their applications. They never had that. So that is a clear example of how the budding unicorns or startups are trying to invest in the quality of human resources that they're going to get in, right? So I hope this is clear that the CV now almost doesn't go to a human unless and until you're going the good old way in the Indian markets of going through a person or someone. And that is also fair. That's a medium that everybody uses. So it's fine. But other than that, yes, we need to make our CVs ATS compliant. Maybe it does not come handy right now in the placement that you go to, but it will come handy when you change jobs. It is very important to understand the higher you go up the ladder, the more ATS compliance you'll need in your CV. Now, moving forward, as I said, 75% of large companies use an ATS system, okay? And small and medium businesses are coming on board, and especially so much more in India, okay? Now moving on, a score of 85% above is needed. How do you get an 85% score? Do you guys have any clue about how to go about this? I will give you a 2 to 3 minute time to, chat away on the chat box and tell me, first of all, have you heard about the ATS, how it works? And second is, do you know how to get an 85% above on the ATS? Have you ever checked your ATS score at all? Let's say yes or no for all these in your chat box. I'll be waiting, and just to gauge what my audience is thinking, on what page are they. Okay.
Chat box में भेज नहीं.
Okay, I'm waiting for the chats to come in. Okay, be honest guys, because by the end of it you will know everything about ATS. So next time anybody asks you this question, your answer would be a proud yes. So do not worry. Thanks for being very, very honest, guys. Go ahead. Tell me more. Do you have, are there more people who have not heard it? Even if you've heard it, please write yes, so that I know that, people are getting aware of it. Okay. So, I'd say 95% of people do not. So, Vibhor, just to answer a quick question, no, 60% is not enough. Okay, Lingeshwaran says that, he got anti-terrorism scored for it. And I'll be honest, 5 years earlier, when I did, I got the same. So I wouldn't blame you. Okay, guys, I think I pretty much understand that this is something that we need today. This session is needed. That was my main aim of asking this question. Great. So now we're going to probably start on understanding what an ATS system is, okay? Thanks, Sandeep. Thanks a lot for that. And now we're going to move forward. Okay, guys. So 85% of a score is needed. We don't know how to get that score right now. Fine. Absolutely cool. We're going to work on it. Just to give you perspective, Microsoft gets 50,000 resumes per week, okay? And Google gets 75,000 per week. Now, in India alone, a company like, Jio or Reliance gets around 40K approximately. IBM, etc., get way more. Infosys, nowhere less than 10,000 applications a day. Let's put it like that, okay? And I'd say, because why is this? Because India has much more population, so you need a even harder metric to get through, and you have even more competition, right? So let's keep that in mind whenever we are applying, okay? That you are going to be chosen from a large bunch of competent people, okay? Now, and also make sure that to understand that, if there are 100 people, definitely if 70 are gone, then they may choose 30 people, and then they, do interviews, choose 10 out of that, maybe do another due diligence, choose 5 out of that. So we have to cross a lot of stages. But the first stage is to clear the ATS compliance, and that is very important. I hope everybody has the background of how this works. Now, when we say an applicant tracking system, people feel, maybe it has set, parameters to pass it. That's not true. Every company trains its ATS in a specific manner, okay? Their machine learning algorithms are separate from one another. On the whole, on the base level, you need an 85% above in the general global ATS system, okay? To go to any company, maybe Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, anything. When I say that this point is important, that every company trains its system according to its own criteria, it is because maybe a company like Zara may want fast people who can work on their work floors, who can, churn out designs faster. And maybe, a company like Apple may be looking for designers who may need to take long periods of time to, brainstorm and come up with something. Each company, each job role has a different working environment. Even job roles in a specific company have different working environments. So we have to be very careful that we position our CV in coherence with what we are applying for, or at least the industry that we are applying for. Okay, that's a general hack. That's a general tip. Do not make a general CV for any job role that you're looking at. Now, moving forward, we're going to touch upon some general Google ATS tips. If you're going to type ATS Google tips, that is what you're going to get. You do not need tables. It should be in chronological order, which means that the recent one needs to be on top in each section. The font has to be Arial and Times New Roman. The font sizes have to range between 9 to 11. When you write Masters of Business Administration, suppose you've done an MBA, you also write the bracket MBA, the acronym for it. Acronym gets you ATS grades. So acronym and long forms need to be added in your CV. Do not put any headers and footers. Avoid the words a, and, because, the, and, any full stops. So what happens is that the ATS sees these things. It is trained. All ATS systems across the world will have these 6 rules working for them. The moment you do this, you do not make a very huge difference, but you increase your ATS score by 10 points if you put all these 6 into place. Okay, that's a quick tip. I do not touch on it a lot because this is easily available on Google for you. So I'm not going to add any value. What I'm going to tell you is how to make your CV 85% above, right? Moving on to that understanding. Okay, now let's read this sentence. This is a sentence that I see in 80% of the CVs that I get, and mind me not, I have seen more than 500 to 600 CVs in the past 3 months. And I can say that this is a sentence which is very prevalent because, yes, we do market research, right? We do it in every internship, job, project, extracurricular activity, no matter what we do. So that's why it is something that is said that did research to compare opportunities in the market. I hope every one of you has either sometimes said something about research in a market or something of those sorts in your CVs, in your respective CVs. Everything about this sentence is wrong in every which way. It is not ATS compliant, however. And now we're going to deconstruct the process of making it ATS compliant one by one. Okay. Now, if anybody, you can raise your hands to the system if you know how to do that, or you can say that I want to answer on the chat box. I'll hear from someone. What do they think? Is this sentence right or not? I'll pick two people and we'll converse for a minute about the same. I'll be happy to chat with anyone about this. I'd like to know first that, what do you think is wrong with this sentence? I don't see any hands raised on the system. I do not see. Guys, it's all, it's an open community. You can talk about it. Nobody's, going to kind of judge on this. So what did I ask? I asked that, do you think there's anything wrong with this sentence? To put it in your CV, do you think it is, anything is wrong with the sentence? So I'm repeating the question, guys, is anything wrong in this sentence when you put it in your CV? Do you think there's anything absolutely which you would like to change? Okay, Mehak says could have simply written market research. That is a grammatical thing. That is none of our concern. We need to try. No, that is not the right answer. Samad, that's not the right answer. Okay, Vaibhav, I take your sentence. Okay, yes, eCELL also said absolutely correct. Yes. Can we have some more inputs? Overflexed, I don't think so. I don't think so. In fact, it's underflexed. Anyone else? Okay, let me deconstruct it and proceed. This is a simple sentence. Yes, Aviral, Keshav, absolutely true. I agree with both those pointers. Okay, now I'm going to proceed, okay? Let's deconstruct each and every bit of making this simple sentence an ATS tested compliant sentence. I'm giving an example. Each and every sentence in your CV must inculcate whatever I speak of next, okay? First point. Is there any power word there? Did. You did a research. You do so many things in a day. Does it create any impact? Did it show that, did it impress you? Okay, let's even leave did worked. Okay, did the word did actually show that you did this, but did it create an impact? Did it sell you well? Did it package you well? I don't think so. And this is where power words come in place. Every sentence should have a power word in the beginning. Okay, now in normal CVs, maybe it is okay when you go to a small startup and say they did research, they'll be like, yeah, fine, you did research. But an ATS system rejects redundant and normal words, which are not power words. It has a bank of 80,000 power words, okay, globally. And that is what it picks on. That is why it's very important that you put power words, okay? Now, any power word that you would have thought of would essentially be in that list. So you do not have to worry that where do I find this list? Okay, but it's a good practice to Google power words and put them in. Okay. Now let's see. Conducted or performed research to compare opportunities in the market. That's our first step. What we did essentially is put a power word in it. Now, a lot of people confuse power word and keywords. And that is a very, very big mistake. Power words are words which give your sentence an edge or package them better. What are keywords? Keywords are prompting words. If I'm a recruiter and I'm looking at, oh, did this person do, maybe a market research? Right now, I cannot find it. Right now, I'm clueless. I'm like, they conducted some sort of a research. But if I'm a recruiter looking at for someone, who could possibly do a market research for me, I'd be like, no, I don't want this CV. So even as a human point of view, this is not a right sentence to put. So now can somebody tell me, what are the things that they would probably add? What is wrong now in this sentence? I'll keep on asking this question for the next 15 minutes, so be ready for it. What is wrong now? Somebody said use keywords, etc. Have I used a keyword? Do you think, okay, let's answer this question. Have I used a keyword yet? Yes or no? Anybody? I'll even go with one answer because I want to proceed to the next bit. I think we can quantify the statement. Yes, I agree. Compared opportunity and in the market and the same sentence. Smart. I agree. Should I mention the sample number? Okay. I completely agree with these things. So that means that you guys really know that what needs to be in the sentence, but maybe you're not adding up all of them together. Okay. So next, we covered the power word. Now let's cover the keyword. Okay. Now this is where your distinction of keyword and power word will be clear. A keyword is anything which shows, it is like a key to the person who's reading your resume or the ATS system who's reading your resume. Okay. So power word creates an impact. Keywords help them diagnose the CV. So that is the difference between a power word and a keyword. Here is where I add a keyword. Okay. Conducted competitive analysis. Okay. To find opportunities in the market. Okay, we're one step ahead in understanding that you conducted is the power word, competitive analysis is the keyword. Okay, moving forward, now let's see what else is missing. As rightly said by a lot of people, specific data is missing. Specificity is missing from it. Yes, you conducted it, but how did you conduct this? Okay, and this is where we go ahead and put conducted competitive analysis via surveys to find opportunities in the market. Okay. I hope it's clear until now what we did. We added a power word, we made a keyword, and then we put in a method. I say specific data. I always call method as specific data because when you think of it, if you're talking about what you did, the specificity of that sentence will only come through methods, right? That is only what it will come through. So I hope this is clear, that power word, keyword, and method, which is a specific data. Now let's talk about the next portion of it, which is numeric data. A lot of people are talking about numeric data in the chat box, and how do we incorporate it? How do we not overdo it? How do we, sort of have the right balance of putting numerics into the sentence? Now, a lot of people tell me that should I put numerics in each and every sentence? And no, that's not what we're looking for. We don't have to force numerics into it. We have to create a good balance of specific data. Specific data is more important than numeric data in your CV. And I'll tell you very quickly why. An ATS system rejects a descriptive sentence. Okay. So I led various events. The ATS system will not read this sentence. It will only read the sentence which has a result orientation to it, which we are going to talk about in a second. Okay. Now, after I say numeric data, conducted competitive analysis via surveys with 500 respondents. Somebody said sample size, somebody said quantify it, somebody said, create numerics out of it. Now, everybody, I would want to know what you think is missing now from the statement. Impact. Absolutely, Vaibhav, I agree. Impact is missing. Result. Kind of opportunities. Okay. Okay, yes. I agree with all the three statements. Anybody else? you've got a really smart audience because you picked on what's gonna, what we are still missing. That's a great starting point. That means that you guys really know. It's just not formulated in the head or never, known or spoken about. Okay, so we're gonna move on the next step. Result orientation. Okay, and as I've already asked, any guesses what the result orientation would be? And I've got the 3 answers which I feel are quite accurate. And this is where we come and create the entire sentence. Conducted competitive analysis via surveys with 500 respondents to scout 4 new potential divisions for expansion. Okay, and it may be anything that you're doing it for. I've just taken an example. So maybe you're doing it for finding a competitor, or maybe a price. You're doing a price analysis. You may be doing anything, but this is how you put it. You use a power word, you put a keyword into place that this is what you were doing, you put a method to it, which is the specific data, you put the numerics to it, and you give it the result it needs. Okay, now, how does this solve 2 purposes? It goes to the ATS compliance. Second, when the interviewer sees your sentence, just think about it. What is the question that they would come with? Okay, if I would have written the last sentence, your questions would have been, how did you conducted the survey? What was the result of this? Where did you put it? Average questions, average answers. Now you have something like, conducted competitive analysis via surveys. They know that you did a survey. They know the respondents. They know what you did it for. Now you can talk about your experience with them. Now you speak about, what were the potential divisions that you came up with? How, people reacted when you did the surveys. Now the questions that they will ask become fun. And this is how you accelerate the ATS to the interview process as well. So when you put this strategy into each and every sentence of your CV, this is what you get out of it. Okay. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask, because we are going to start the next part, which is profile building, shortly. So I'm going to have a quick, let's give maybe 5 minutes to understand and answer any questions regarding, that entire exercise that we did. I think, Astritva, I just answered your question that what is the utility of the employer. You ask about the ATS system or writing sentences like this. See, for writing sentences like this, it gives them clarity. As an employer, as a recruiter, I can say that if I know this knowledge about the person who's coming in, I have better quality questions to ask them. About the ATS, it is a very, very simple answer. They get the desired person. They get the right job person fit. You know what a big loss it is when you do not find the right person for the job that you want to. It creates so much discourse into the company. So I think, when a company trains its ATS system to find the right job person fit, it benefits them hugely, hugely. Krish, this is where you cross the line of over information, right? Of course, if you say that, if you want to leave it, that suppose you only did the job of collecting surveys, then you can write that, you collected these surveys and you filtered them based on, based on filters, i.e. demographic, income brackets, etc., etc. That is more of the research profile. I took a general statement like that. So of course, there are multiple ways to make it ATS compliant. And, that is why, a company like us is in place. But, this is what, this is the general practice that you must follow. Dr. says, is there any specific order in which the sentence has to be written, with keywords first, followed by power words, etc.? Power word always comes in the beginning of the sentence, no matter what. Keyword can be anywhere at all. Vaibhav, this is a question which is universal. It's a universal issue. Tailor your CV and your role according to the job that you're applying to. And when I say that, it does not mean that you redundant a finance role while you're applying for a marketing role. Maneuver it smartly to show that it helped you in your marketing journey. Okay, maybe a strong financial background will help you disburse the marketing budgets better. Say it like that. I mean, I'm giving an example, but use your experiences as profile building blocks, okay, rather than showing them as distinct or away. try to, try to portray them as if it led you to be a better person for the job that you are applying to. Okay. And with a diverse background. I hope that answers your question. This is a very, very huge topic. This is what I do, and I will talk about this very briefly, but this is what I actually do for a lot of people who come with, 20, 30 years of experience, and we change their profile to a new business role that they want to go into. Okay, let's move on to the profile building bit, because of course we have a lot to cover there as well. Now let's not confuse profile building to, okay, let's put, things in the CV, or, oh, this is just to collect internships. No. Profile building is your character personality building. In the end, you will be using these experiences in your life ahead, in your work equations, in your personal equations, in your professional equations, in your career paths, in your, future, your vision. So we have to choose these profile building blocks carefully. I do not want to misconstrue this with something that you're doing to put in your CV. Let's put that thought out of your mind. Let's do this internship. We'll get a certificate. We'll get a recommendation. Let's put it here. Do not think like this. You do not even know how many experiences that I've had. I do not have a single proof that I've done them. And I'm happy, because through that only I understood how I could reach here today. Okay. So I understand that, you really need few certificates, this and that, when you're younger, you do not know how else to prove your merit. But just for a personal understanding, remember that, certificates, etc., are not as important as building your profile. And that is why I do not talk about CV tips here. I talk about profile building, just to remove every confusion that anybody may have. Okay, now, the biggest question, most requested thing on our Instagram, what to put in the CV, what skill to show. Just to give you a sound background, we put 15 skills into the CV. And here I have 5 of them for you, which are important in 2020. There are 10 which remain stagnant through the years. 10 skills are needed in CVs from 1980 to maybe 2050. But these 5 keep on changing. And I'll explain very briefly each of them, okay? Emotional intelligence, empathy. In this time of a pandemic, or, recessions hitting soon, jobs leaving, people suffering mentally and, personally. If you do not show somebody that you have empathy for them, it's very difficult for somebody to work. Everybody is emotionally charged right now. And to show that you have emotional intelligence, it's very, very important. How do you do it? I'm going to answer in one single line. Show volunteering experiences in your CV. Show that you did social service. Show that you have, something to give to people, more than just your skills, more than just your hard skills. Okay. Make sure you do this. And as a personal recommendation, do definitely do a volunteering experience, an NGO experience. It makes you feel really humbled and grounded, and it comes through your personality later. Now let's talk about leadership. And when I say leadership, I do not mean that, you go and take up stuff and you do, lead a team. By leadership, I mean is that go beyond your role. In 2020 or 5 years till now, the impact is going to be so large that people are not going to be employing people for different roles. Everybody would want that they get more than what they pay for, as human nature in this recession. So even employers will look for people who can do more than the job description. So that is what I mean by leadership. So how can you show this? Show that, you work with a cross-functional team to do something else, to go beyond your job profile. Maybe your profile was marketing, but you liaised with another team to work on another project, which I'm sure you guys must be doing. You're just not putting it in or writing it in, because, it may seem that, वो 5 मिनट या एक दिन का काम किया था, उससे क्या लिख के करेंगे? That's not true. Put it in. Show that you did more than what you were asked to do. Analytical skills, okay? And this is a very big question that I'll ask everyone. I want people writing in the chat boxes. What do you think are analytical skills? This is something which is a very big confusion in the minds of students, recruits, and even I, until say 2 years ago. What are analytical skills? And a small hint or clue. Is it only restricted to Tableau and, I don't know, like coding, Python, Java, Excel sheets? Is it only about, analyzing, churning data? Is it only about that? Is it something else? What do you guys think? What is your opinion? And specifically coming from an engineering college, what do you think are analytical skills? Okay. Rakshit, you're quite spot on. Quite spot on. Okay. Use iPad also says the right thing. I don't know your name. I'm so sorry. I'm just using your username. Anybody else? Okay. Using, give information to get on conclusion, street smartness, observations and initiatives. Okay. Okay. Anybody else? I haven't got the exact spot on answer. So I'm still going to wait for maybe half a minute, because you all are really, really close. Like it's just spot on. Like, actual problem. Okay. Course. Okay. Let me just say it out loud. I think almost everyone was really spot on, and no complaints on there. I'll be honest with you. I've done so many webinars. I've not got such close answers. So great audience, very, very learned. And see, what happens with analytical skills are that people try to put these softwares, etc., and try to show that, I'll be data analyst and everything. Fair point. I understand. We are analytical or a mathematical or an engineering for our youth is very charged in that sense. We are more on hard skills than soft skills, rather than, maybe a country like Europe or, some parts of other Asia, but we are more technologically or software driven, etc. So a lot of people misconstrue analytical skills to be that. However, analytical skills are to, preempt people's problems. It's one way is to find a cause and solve problems. That's one aspect of it, but very small aspect of it. It is about understanding what the person's going to ask in advance, to be ready with that answer backed with data. So if I go with a suggestion to my boss and say that I have XYZ suggestion, you know it for sure that they're going to ask you 5 questions and they'll have those apprehensions. Now, if you do not go prepared, it is highly likely that that suggestion will not be taken. But if you put yourself into the shoes of the other person and think their apprehensions beforehand and research, analyze them and back them with data and go to them, that's how you succeed and supersede than your peers. Okay. And now, this may seem complex, and how do I put this in my CV? Okay. Easy. You have to say that you initiated a problem. You found a problem and you then took out solutions for it and you presented to your management for improvement. I hope this is making sense. Okay. So when you say that you already identified a problem before the person in front of you did, you took out suggestions, you backed out those suggestions with research and further questions that the person may ask, and then you presented it to your management, is how it is going to come across in your CV. I'll be honest, I look for that in a CV 100% of the times. Even if I'm recruiting for my family business or if I'm recruiting for CView, I do not want problem makers in my firm who, are confused, who do not know what to do or do not, understand how they could go about a thing. So very, very important to understand that the person who's coming in will identify problems themselves. Okay. If today my editor says that, this is a problem in the software and this is, we have to fix this, and she comes to me and tells me that we can fix it like 1, 2, 3, 4, I appreciate her more. I definitely want to, she then becomes like a keeper in my firm, right? Rather than if a person just doesn't ignore it and that problem keeps on happening in my firm. So I hope that is understood. I do not like to call it critical thinking, because critical thinking is taking out negatives and positives about a thing. But here we are just talking about plain suggestions and backing it up with data. Okay. Critical thinking is something which I'm averse of, and we'll talk, maybe we can talk about this in question and answer sessions. Critical thinking is not something that you have to show in a first impression to anyone. Like, even if you meet a new friend, or any person, you do not start by saying that, let's critically think this, let's discuss a critical analysis or something. You first give a soft entrance to your understanding to someone. So do not try to show critical thinking in your CV or in your interview. It does not really work very well. Now, coordination and agility are kind of mixed. It is because, we are going to be work from home globally. New partnerships, mergers are going to happen, acquisitions are going to happen. Okay. And, a lot of things are going to go on. Sometimes you're working from home, sometimes you've been deported somewhere else, sometimes you want to be in your office. You have to go for emergency meetings right now. Sometimes you have to take those on Zoom call. It's going to be a whole lot of mess even in the coming times. That is why coordination amongst yourselves and agility, which means that mind space, कि यार मैं इरिटेट नहीं हो रही हूँ या हो रहा हूँ कि अभी ये करना पड़ रहा है और अभी ये करना पड़ रहा है. Let's not go into that zone. Let's understand that this is going to be the norm, and take it with an agile attitude. Okay, I hope all these skills are clear. I think I took too much time on explaining those skills, but these are so very important. Okay, I'm quickly going to read the chat box with some. Okay, we're going to touch on these general things a little later. Okay, I think this is the highlight of every webinar I do until now, and I would like it to be the highlight here as well. What do you guys think? What is more important in a CV, in your profile, extracurricular activities or certifications? Let's chat away in the box. Please do tell me, what do you think is more important? I'd like at least 30 answers for this. I mean, everyone can tell me that what do they think, that why is, maybe extracurriculars more important or certification more important in your CV, and what have you put? Why do you think so? Okay, Weber says experience over documents any day. Extracurricular are your positions of responsibility, your volunteering expertise, your research expertise. Extracurricular is anything that you have taken up, apart from your work experience or internships. It could be anything in your university, outside of university, school, outside of school, anything. Okay, I believe Krish says that recently he's understood that extracurricular is more important than certificates. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, I take Nishan's point. I take Akriti's point. Anybody else? Okay, Manasvi. I like the reasoning which backed it up with as well. Anybody else? Okay, Rakshit, I take your point. Extracurriculars do show multitasking abilities. Mm-hmm. Yes. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but Samad, I think that's a very valid point as well. Yes. Okay, Sudesh has taken the higher route and said that both are important. Okay, but we have limited time. Okay. I'm still going to look for 2-3 more answers. Mm-hmm. Okay, very nice insights. I think majority of us are on the same page when it comes to the right answer. Okay, now before I can clarify and answer this question, let's understand the need and the want of your profile. The need of your profile is what you want to hone your abilities or skills in to get that desired job or that university. The want in your CV is to make it more holistic, make your profile better inherently and on paper. Okay. So sometimes you may need a certification. Like today at CView, I have no clue how to, say make a website or maybe, SEO. Maybe let's just take it. I'm a finance person. I understand technology. I understand finance. I understand money and business. I do not understand the SEO or how it works, or maybe even marketing. I need a SEO certification to understand it. Okay. That's one way to look at it. That's the need of my CV. What I want probably is maybe, like a language or maybe, something that would enhance or make it more holistic. So in any way, I need to understand the need and want of the CV, and then based of that have to decide what is more important. Having said that, extracurricular activities are 99% times better than a certification because it gives you the chance to prove your mettle, show it. Let's understand that our education system is 100% theoretical. We have never learned how to put it to application. And this is a shortcoming. They already know that we are skillfully very sound when it comes to theory, but then we are not maybe applying it to the real world. And learning on the job has much more merit than learning through certificates. Now, I'll come back to my point for whoever who will argue that certifications will give you the skills that you need. Again, that is a need of your profile. But if you want to enhance your profile and are doing profile building exercises, then always choose extracurriculars over certification. The personal, the on-field application rather than the paper certificate. Okay, be very clear about this, because one another point is that certification is done in seclusion while extracurriculars will be done in a team. And we are going to touch upon a hack which talks about team building very, very soon. Okay, I hope this is clear. And also in extracurriculars, you do more than what you're asked for. It shows initiative, leadership, team building skills, multitasking. A lot of people are also talking about it. So I think extracurriculars, if you have 1 month, if you have 15 days, put your time for profile building on extracurricular activities rather than certifications. However, if you want to do both, and there are a lot of people who want to, and that is why I've come up with the hack for that also, which you're going to touch upon in the next maybe 10 minutes. Okay. Okay, so we begin with the larger chunk, and I think the most interactive part, and I hope everyone's enjoying and everyone's in loop with everything. If there are any questions, or if you want me to slow down, speed up, do let me know. And I think we're going to wrap up in the next 15 minutes, and we're going to have question and answers. So I hope that, takes away every apprehension that it may run longer than needed. So hack number 1, and a very interactive exercise once again. Leverage your social life and daily activities in your profile and in your CV. I'll give you a quick example. A few days ago, a gentleman, 35, 37-year-old, was trying to move from an MNC system to a startup because of his experience, they were paying him much more. He wanted a holistic profile for it. Until now, he had like 7 work experiences put down together, education, and that's it. We were trying to build the 15 skills that I was talking about. Okay. And we're trying to build his extracurriculars. Now, going back to his, university or school life would have been very stupid and redundant. So what could we do? We brainstormed a lot. And I actually came across that he used to organize events at his local temple. And we used and leveraged that to show all his operational skills that were missing from his CV, because he had a very, very finance-oriented background. So now this is where you can leverage your daily interests, activities, hobbies, your X factors into profile building blocks. And we're going to start with this exercise. Shoot me anything that you may be doing in your daily life, and I'll convert it into a profile building block for it. Please do not write binge watching and eating and all of those. Please be respectful of the fact that it needs to be something which you are inclined towards, which takes some skill out of you. And nothing against binge watching, etc. Everyone does it, and that's your leisure. I'm talking about skills, which you would do as your interests or hobbies, and which probably you do not know how to change it into something constructive. I'll answer all of them, by the way. I'll try to answer all of them if possible. Okay. I'm going to wait for 10 and then we'll bracket them together and say about them so that I don't waste too much time. Okay. Let's start with reading. I think, with writing anything and, reading and writing, reading articles, poetry, books, autobiographies, anything, blogs. Do not just write or portray that you're just reading them. Also show that you're analyzing them. You're writing reviews for them, or you're trying to make, conclusions out of them, trying to find alternative endings to them. So that shows that you can analyze what you read. Okay. And here, do not mistake it with that analyze. Analyze, I mean that, comprehend, understand better. How is this going to help you? You can portray it as, being able to read the documents that come through, the emails that come through, the contracts that come through. In any part of your career, you will have to go through those things. So it's very important that you were only not reading, but you're also comprehending side by side. So whenever you want to inculcate this, show that you read something, you read maybe X number of books, and then you created reviews or alternate endings, or maybe, comprehended them through notes or something on those lines. So this is really, really going to help, or created summaries out of it. Okay. I hope that helped. So for reading, all of that goes. For photography, I think that shows a very, very good creative lens. Show as two things can be shown through this: focus and seeing, seeing something from a different perspective. So always write it in your interests. Write these things down in your interests. And I say that you write the interests at the bottom. Okay. And I say this because the CV, the person starts seeing now this is not about ATS compliance. This is about when the human is seen. So human will see your CV always down to up, not up to down. Okay. So because that is the first talking point that they're looking at. They don't want to jump into asking you your work experience or education. They want to start with something lighter, by human nature, to know you better. So they're going to start with the interests. So when you write something like photography, in the interviews, you can talk about looking everything through different lenses, having different perspectives, putting art into the nature, or maybe capturing things which other people are not looking at. And how you can combine it with this, because you are looking at a different perspective. So maybe if your colleague is looking at a deal from this perspective, or a company from this perspective, you have another perspective to look at with. So that is what you can show through photography. And painting, art, this goes for everything. Drama, play, scripts, definitely show it like you're doing it for global issues. Show that you're doing these dramas as an expression of the current world affairs that are going on. And that is how you relate it to your CV and make a profile building block out of it. Managing of tills or counters is something that you can put as work experience, as part-time work experience in your CV. That is not really your hobby or interest. That is something that you do in your day-to-day activity, and that can be quantified through a part-time experience. With till expertise, what you understand is how to deal with the finances and the customers, also how to keep a log of transactions. Everybody in any company would want that. Okay. Researching again is similar to reading. You have to make a comprehension out of it. You have to come up with something tangible out of it. Okay, maybe create a publication, or maybe say write a blog on LinkedIn, or create a page out of it, create a blog out of it, something on those lines. I think that would be really helpful. And with Rakshit, with the research thing is that this thing shows in your conversation. If you know so much about so many things, it will reflect in your conversation, because you will be able to get real life work experience, world experience into your conversation. So this is something which is intangible, but of course you can make it tangible by saying that you created something out of it, or you comprehended something out of it. Maybe you can write a line about research on X number of companies or X number of industries. I think that would be helpful. Teaching, Mehak, Gert, teaching is so very important. Mentoring and teaching has to go in your extracurricular activities or volunteering activities if you're doing it for underprivileged children. Definitely show it, because again, as I said, we companies need leaders. So today, if I have a person who I've trained for social media, and she's here, Nishtha is here, it's very easy for me to now tell her that, okay, get 5 interns and train them, because I know that she can teach them, right? So teaching is something which comes very handy. Once you go 2 years up the mark in your work experience, all employers or managers would expect you to mentor people below you, and you have to do that invariably. So this shows your patience and your will and power to comprehend and forward that information to somebody else. So definitely show teaching, and say it like this. Say it to make that I want to mentor people who I can help, even in the company that I go to. Piano is, again, creativity. Put down in your interest, show that it gives you peace of mind. In an interview, when they ask you, it hones your creativity skills. It helps you to incline, with look at things, with a focus. And whenever any issue comes in mind, you know how to be calm, because you have learned the tactic. Also, with piano, because you're using two hands, etc., it can also be used to show balance and multitasking. Okay, always remember to put it like that. Of course, in your CV, it will just come as interest playing piano, but when you express it and talk about it, or in your cover letter, you can say it like this. For sketching also, it comes under the same photography thing. For creative writing, definitely write about pertinent topics. You write creatively, but talk about, pertinent global issues in it, and that's how you combine it in your profile. Bank work, you can put it in part-time work, but that is something that is your more like when you talk about it, you can simply say, I know how to handle bank work and how to negotiate with people who are at the bank, or get my work done from Indian banks and PSUs, etc. You can say that. Rubik's Cubes is another very good mental skill. Even Sudokus people put, even gaming people put. You can write focus for this. You can write different, problem solving through it, definitely. Problem solving in Sudoku and that. And for gaming, a lot of people ask me, you can definitely write it through focus and your ability to jump from world to world. And I say this in exact words, say this exactly, that you know how to move from one zone to another very quickly with agility. Okay. Bargaining, convincing is something that I avoid writing in the CV. Do not try to write this or say this to people. It can be showed as negotiation skills through your work experience, but do not use the word bargain or convince in your CV. Okay, I think of programming is something which comes in your technical skills. It does not really come in your interests. Of course, it is an interest. That is why you probably must be doing this. So you can combine and say it, but there's a bracket called IT skills in your CV, and that's where it should come. Working for NGOs has to come in your volunteering experience. It is not a part of your interests. Yes, you can show anything which does not even go with your your job profile. It's completely fine. It's absolutely fine. You do not have to worry about it. If you can talk about it in an interview and say that how it has contributed to your today's life, it is all fine. Okay, now we're going to move forward to the next hack, and I am happy to take all these questions if somebody has them after the session. I don't want to keep the people who have already gone ahead waiting. I'll definitely answer all questions, so do not worry. Now let's go to hack 2. Now that classic question, extracurriculars versus certifications. Now what to do about the certification? If you are really wanting to do a certification, which is wants, okay, wants in your CV. I'm not talking about the need in your CV. Need in your CV, you have to do a skill job, you have to do a course, maybe you have to learn on the job. That's separate. Want. We're only talking about what we want in our CV. Do an opposite certification theory. And by that I mean, if I'm a finance person, I go and do something from the creative background. If I'm a creative person, I go and do something from the technical background. If I'm a technical person, I go and do a language. Take something which is diametrically opposite to your CV to make it more holistic. Okay. A lot of people come saying that maybe, that does not contribute anything. That's not true. That's not at all true. That shows your affinity to learn more than your described arena. And certification is a small thing. So it does not take away from your entire big profile, which is inclined to maybe, engineering or finance or marketing. It gives you an edge and it shows that you try to do something different. Okay. I hope this helps. And that's why I asked the question, you need a skill or you want a skill? So the opposite certification theory only works for the wants of the skills. Okay, I hope this is clear. If there's any confusion, feel free to ask. Okay, now we go to hack 3, how to build team skills. And this is interrelated to the part of leadership where I said do more than what you are asked to do. And why I say you build team skills is because you're coming from a group of people, you're living with a group of people, you're going to live with a group of people, you're going to work in a group of people. There is no escaping from people. So how do you show this in your CV? There are 4 or 5 ways, okay? You show that you led a team, you led a group of people, you worked with a team of those many people, you assisted a manager or a group of people, you worked in cross-functional teams from this department, you liaised with partners or clients. This is how you show your team skills. This is how you show that you know how to collaborate. The power words for these are always liaised and collaborated, coordinated. These are which gives you an edge in your CV. This is more like a soft skill part of the CV. It just does not come in the ATS thing. It is just an extra pointer for me. Okay, hope that helps. Now we'll move on to the hack number 4. And I think this I've covered more than multiple times, but this is something that I have to say again and again. Show initiative, do more than the role that you did. I think I've already described this hack before when I was telling the skill, how to show initiative is when you show that you did more than your prescribed job role. If there are any problems in explaining this in your CV, you can always shoot a question and ask me how you could possibly do it. But I hope this is clear that all you have to do is show that I was assigned this job role, but I did more than this. And that's it. And that's very, very easy to portray in your cover letter, your interviews, and it is a little difficult to portray in your CV, but we kind of have mastered how to do it until now. Now, hack number 5, how to make time for certifications. And I told this to you when I was telling the extracurricular versus certification hack. If I'm telling you that do extracurricular activities, and that's the want of your profile, and now you suddenly need a certification, how do you work on this? And this is more like a life hack, if I may say so, that I have taken up since the past 3 years, where when I try to do 2 things together, I make sure that I do not do either of them in seclusion. So if today I do not work on CView, I will not work on my family business as well. And I suffer in both. And the next day I am going crazy that I have so much to do. And the day I'm working on CView, I have to work on my family business because else it will go haywire again. So this is the trick. You create a notebook, you put 2 sections saying that work for this and work for this. So if you're doing an internship, say internship, and the next is your studies, and the next is the certification that you're doing. And you write a daily target for it. And the day you don't do one, you don't do any of the others. You procrastinate for all of the others. And this may sound absolutely silly, but this is the best tip that you can put into, managing time and productivity. Trust me, try it for a week and you will see the difference coming through. Okay. And it's completely fine if you think that I'm talking like a completely mad lady, but this is absolutely true and works very, very well. And my last and final hack. So, this is the last bit, and it's very, very interesting for me to tell you. What happens is that 99% of the times people come and tell me that, okay, what if I'm putting so much efforts in school or college in building my profile, and now suddenly I realize that I do not want to do what I maybe planned to do in first year. And at that time I did a role in a marketing society because I thought I wanted to do marketing. Then I thought I wanted to do finance, so I did an internship in finance. Then I wanted to do something and I did something in that. And you know, and because by the virtue of that, my profile is haywire. What do I do? Two things. Your profile is most holistically built when you're experimenting with your career, okay? And this I can give you my example and tell you in the next slide. And second is that I think I've given a very comprehensive outlook on how to maneuver those profile building blocks to show that it contributed to your main goal, okay? So I'll go forward and show you. So no, as I started in the beginning, nobody knows what it took from, one place to other, from there to the next one, what went on, what happened. I worked for 500 volunteering hours because I thought I wanted to open an NGO. I worked at an international realty firm in London because I thought I wanted to do real estate. I went and worked as an event intern at Innovate in my early years because I thought I wanted to do event planning for some reason. Again, to contribute to the thing that I wanted to open an NGO and make like a, profitable model of NGOs all across the country. I worked at a NGO called Your Wonderful Project. I thought I wanted to do consultancy, so I went into Accenture. I thought, I want to do a master's now, and I got rejections from everywhere possible to get something then finally. So it is by the virtue of your experimentation is when you build your current profile. And it's up to me now that I can say that what I learned at Innovate was how to build a startup, and that I can put it in CView now today. Or if for my interview at Deloitte, I said that when I was doing the Your Wonderful project, I gained so much empathy for people that I know how to deal with clients much better now. So it is just about maneuvering your experiences to create impact and to say it in a way which creates and makes sense to the person that you're talking to. So I hope this portion and this entire webinar is clear. I'm going to touch very briefly now that you've understood ATS, you've understood profile building. So the ATS is the artificial intelligence bit that I work on. The profile building is my human expertise. I have combined both of them to create an ATS system through which I create CVs, and I'm also selling it to SMEs and startups so that they can leverage those and get the right job profile fit for them, because they cannot afford the ones that the MNCs have. Okay, I hope I'm clear about this. We also have one-on-one sessions, customer satisfaction, etc. I'm not going to go about that. I'm sure, and we have a lot of tips and tricks on our page, so you can definitely go on for connecting with me or CView, and you can ask as many questions as you want. Feel free to ask for any recommendations. If you're joining my personal Instagram or LinkedIn, just shoot me a message that you're from this webinar. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. If you want to avail our services, of course, the information for CView is there. So I hope this works. Now I'm open to any question and answers that you may have. And if you are kind of leaving, and if you do not have any question and answer, please feel free to leave a feedback, or how you like the session. Did you get something out of it? Because it will really motivate us to do better and to understand what is lacking, what else we could do for you. And I hope you guys liked it, and just leave a quick feedback. It would really mean a lot to me and will be worth my time. So we do not have any questions. Thank you, everyone. This is really sweet of you. It really means a lot to us. Nishant, I would urge you not to end the session until everybody leaves and we also leave so that we can, kind of read the feedbacks and understand what we could do better. If anybody wants to have a one-on-one chat, they can always, open their mics and speak to me.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are. You are audible.
So, ma'am, what if
May I know your
wanted?
name, please?
My name is Lingesh, ma'am.
Yes, hi, Lingesh. How can I help you?
So, ma'am, what if our wanted skill is also considered to be a needed one? Uh, so, ma'am, currently I'm interning at this place, and I'm interning as an equity researcher.
Sorry, where are
So
you interning? Your voice broke out.
now, ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, tell me.
So, ma'am, I'm interning as an equity researcher right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they appointed me to work only based on the technicals.
Right.
But I strongly feel that fundamentals are equally important as technicals.
Mm-hmm.
Because imagine that someone who's working on the technicals alone pre-corona
Mm-hmm.
mm, might have had a different forecast, which could be totally irrelevant to what has actually happened.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, so I feel that not just technical analysis, but also fundamental analysis is equally important to do this equity research thing. And whereas my authorities aren't agreeing towards that, and I've been also mentioning that long-term equity researches aren't effective as short-term, and short-term, that too I mean only for 1 month or 2 months, and they are asking me to do for a year or two,
Mm-hmm.
the forecast for a year or two.
See, see what happens is this is your personal grievance or your personal experience that we are talking about, right? It may
Yes.
vary from person to person. What we are touching upon is definitely more generic. However, to address your apprehension regarding having soft skills or fundamental values while you're doing work, see, this is where it will come in place in the long run, because nobody without the work ethics or soft skills can last very long in a firm, to be honest with you. So, and from both ends, from the employer or the employee. So the companies also who do not put emphasis on fundamental skills or soft skills do not go very very far, in my
Fundamentals, I meant fundamental analysis, ma'am, which is not based on technicals. The
okay then.
forecast that you do based on the corporate actions or any new investment that they make, that's what I'm referring to.
Okay, then I don't think I'm really clear with your question, and in my personal opinion, I don't really understand the issue
So,
going on
ma'am,
there.
okay, look, ma'am, technicals are basically no more focused on the past data,
Mm-hmm.
and the investment made projects the future.
I got all of that. What is your question? Like, what are you wanting from the profile
well
building or
well
CV
well,
thing?
the work that's been designated to me is more
Mm-hmm.
technical analysis driven,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I'm saying that both technical and fundamental are equally important, and taking long term financial statement is not effective to formulate short term equity reports.
Okay.
And
And
all
you
they are
want to
asking me,
portray this in your profile?
what, ma'am?
Do you want to portray this in your profile?
Well, you see, if I act as an equity researcher, they expect me to understand only the technical part of it, but they don't,
Which is fair.
I feel like it's necessary, but they're not seeing it.
This is
It's
what
not something
happens.
that I want, but I genuinely feel it's a requirement.
This is what happens in majority of the the internships when you start out. You will not get everything that you require in your profile to one experience, and that is why it's important that you take the technical experience from here and look for fundamental experience from somewhere else, so that you can combine them. Or maybe you work here longer and they start putting you in fundamental work, or you work towards getting that fundamental work. Now you can also get this fundamental work through an extra activity or a certification, which is fair. It's a need of your profile and you may go ahead and do that. I hope that answers your question.
It's fine, ma'am, but it's not. I'm not satisfied with it.
Any other questions that anybody may have?
Ma'am, and I also have another question, ma'am.
Sure.
You also mentioned that extracurricular activities, portrays how
I
driven
can't
by
hear
a
you.
art. Ma'am, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes. I think yes, Mehak, you rightly put in. That is what I was trying to explain him. I don't think it came through very properly. That is what I said. If he's getting technical expertise from one bit, then of course, and if he wants to build fundamental, which I get, so he can go ahead and get them through another experience, an extracurricular activity, or through maybe a certification that could help him in that particular fundamental, however would be necessary. And if he can fight it out and try to get more fundamental related role in the particular internship, then nothing like it. So again, Samad, I don't know if you heard this properly, and I said this multiple times through the entire webinar, that no matter what job role that you had, it should be able to become a profile building block. You have to maneuver it in a way that it shows that it adds value to your internship. So if you did a finance internship and now you're applying for a marketing job, then you can go ahead and say that it will help you better in understanding marketing budgets or dispersing marketing expense, understanding the return on investment of the marketing activities. If you're doing a technical role, then you can say that, when I put a technical thing into practice, I already know what the financial aspect of it will be. How much will it cost my company? What benefit will it get to the company? Will it be, worth it, the investment of the company or my investment? Whatever it is. So everything can be, maneuvered and that it was done only to help you go to your ultimate goal. So that is what you have to do. I'm not telling you to not make it job profile specific. I am in fact telling you repeatedly to make it job profile specific. I'm telling you the way to do it. I hope that this is clear. Lakshya says, how much do the college applications we send and our CV overlap? It's a bit confusing for me to understand the difference between them. College applications, a CV is a part of it. That's about it. Your college application has to show so much more. It has to show how you're going to contribute to that college and what are you looking out of their university. So definitely, a college application is a different ballgame altogether. It has got nothing to do with the CV and it's overlapping. CV is it's your selling paper. It's like that advertisement that is getting circulated. It's that Facebook ad. It's that that banner. It's that hoarding that will sell you. It is more like that. An application is what the university wants. I hope everyone's questions are answered. Any more questions, I'll be happy to take. Okay, there are two new messages.